Good morning, my friends, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, GRAMMY PAT. I haven't posted for a couple of weeks. There's been a couple of things going on in my life, one of which is probably the most important and the one that caused me a lot of stress. I didn't know I had stress about it, but I obviously did. I had cataract surgery in my right eye, and May 11th, I go back and I get to have it all done over again in my left eye. Anyway, I think it is the best thing that I have done for myself for a long time, because now in that eye, when I keep my left eye closed, I have almost 20/20 vision. I can't wait until get both eyes done, and I might very well not have to wear glasses again. Anyway, that being it said, I wish you a very good day with a good cup of coffee. And let's carry on here. I haven't posted for a while, but I have had a number of people request a video or a show or information about my quilting journey, but I hope you enjoy. I started making this quilt when my mom died. Shortly after she died, it was 25 years ago. I started it in 1995, and I finished it in Lord knows when. But it was a healing quilt. It's the first time I ever quilted. I just got out a book and started quilting. And no, I didn't start quilting. I started sewing, and I started sewing patches together. And eventually I found a pattern that I used for inspiration, and that I learned how to do the piecing and the quilting and all the basics of quilting. But I changed up the pattern. I have never ever made a quilt following a pattern 100%. I always change it up, so therefore it is always mine. So this quilt is in honor of my mom. This quilt I titled Tree of Life, Colors of the Forest. This was the very first quilt I ever made. It was machine pieced and hand quilted entirely on a quilting frame. Shortly later, I moved on to landscape quilting, and then I did some, what's this called, Zen quilting or Zentangle quilting. This quilt was made as a charity quilt for the Humboldt Broncos hockey team, where 16 members of the staff and team members perished in a horrific bus crash in 2019. The dragonfly represents afterlife. This quilt was made for my daughter on her 34th birthday, just because I love the quilt and she does too. My grandson in grade 1 came home from school one day and said, "Mommy, Mommy, my teacher told me I had music in my soul." So hence this quilt. I always name my quilts, and this one I called Ethan's Soul. He cherishes this quilt. He's now going to be 9 soon. The Artist's Creed. I am a creative individual. I believe I was created to be creative, and I am creative in many ways. I will protect my inner creative spirit. I will identify and defeat my enemies, both old and new, that prohibit or interfere with my creativity. I will pursue my creative goals with diligence and perseverance. A poem by Ricky Timms, 2001. Ricky Timms, one of my favorite quilters of all time. I never stop learning, and he is the best teacher. So I made this quilt. I recently attended an online class with him and learned convergence quilting, and this is the result. Always wanting to learn and try new things. This was a class by Anna Buzzolino, and I call it my Inukshuk and Northern Lights. Inukshuk under the Northern Lights. 2 years ago, when we could still go to things in person, I attended a quilt show here in Edmonton, Alberta, and I saw some pet portrait quilts that I was just absolutely flabbergasted about. And so I came home and learned to do pet portraits. I've done about 5 or 6 of them and absolutely love the process. It's 100% totally my design. And I can call myself an artist now. So these are photos of my pet portraits. This is Bailey. Bailey belongs to my brother, and I wanted him to be able to keep Bailey forever and ever and ever. Since then, Bailey has now passed. This is my funny self-portrait. I can't get over the size of the lips. Whew. Now this quilt top was a challenge. My sister, who has had a stroke, can't quilt anymore, but she had cut out these millions of little pieces of fabric to make a double wedding ring quilt and handed them to me and said, "Here, Pat, you can put this together." I said, "Oh my God, I can't make that quilt. I have no idea how." So the next day I went down to my quilting room and started figuring out how to put the pieces together. And I eventually did it. I became obsessed with this. For the first time in my life, I took this quilt to a long arm quilter to have professionally quilted. And today I am going to go pick it up. Test, test, test. I have just returned from Sparrow Quilt Company, where I picked up my beautiful quilt that they quilted for me on their long arm machines. It's the first time I ever took one in to get done. I've gone and rented machines from them and done the work myself. But I tell you, when a professional who knows what they're doing does it, it's phenomenal. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, here it is, the quilt, back from the long arm quilters, and it has been machine quilted on the long arm. It is a computerized design. I would never have been able to do this so perfectly. Although if I had done it on my own, it would have still been beautiful. But here's the quilt in all its glory. A little bit of a close-up here. Let's see, what are we going to see here? Look at all this beautiful, beautiful quilting on here. I can't wait to get the binding. Well, there you have it, folks. A little sampling of my quilts through the years. I've made many, many more than what you see in this video. This is just a sample. I certainly do enjoy making quilts, and now I need to go bind that quilt. Have a great day. I love you.